Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything College Basketball presents
ECB in the Zone Press.
ECB in the Zone Press. I am, of course, your host, Josh Burton.
I'm, of course, your co-host, Peyton Burton.
Tyler Cook's on the other side of the camera today.
Yeah, it's the gang here as per usual. The gang that's setting records on the podcast for us.
Yeah, before we begin, who are we sponsored by?
We are sponsored by Applied Right Painting Services.
It seems like we always forget to do that.
Applied Right Painting Services serving the greater Indy region. Indy being Indianapolis for those listening in a different state or different country even. Serving the greater Indianapolis area for all your painting needs, wants, and desires. Check out J.R. Rowe and Company at Applied Right Painting Services. They'll hook you up. Speaking of paint, what we're here to talk about today, as per usual. Last week we talked about Duke, Virginia. Week before that was
Louisville, Carolina.
Louisville, Carolina. We talked about Indiana, Purdue. This week today, we are here to talk about the Vols and the Cats. Mr. Cook, what a clash in the SEC we're about to get on Saturday.
Yeah, it's been a long time since these two have been ranked this high together. It's a top 5 matchup. Number 1, Tennessee, got 1 loss on the year. And you got Kentucky on the other side is playing great ball as well. They've got 4 losses, but it's been a big change for these guys. It's coming along. They're playing really well. So it's going to be one here.
Yeah, Peyton and shout out to Connor. Mm-hmm. Connor's live wrestling reactions watching us live right now. He said, "What's up?"
Yep.
So, what's
Chris,
up, Connor? What's up, Connor? But Peyton, Tennessee, obviously number 1 in the country. They are number 5 in KenPom. If you go by KenPom, like just different stats and ratings, Tennessee's a number 1, or not the number 1 overall seed, but they're a 1 seed right now in the NCAA's. Tennessee's got things rolling right now. Got things rolling. Kentucky's kind of, I wouldn't say they're reeling, but they're coming off of a loss at home and early in the week against LSU. That probably caught many by surprise. LSU's a really good team, but probably caught many by surprise. But it's still going to be like 2 bulls locking horns on Saturday in Rupp Arena.
It's going to be a heavyweight fight, clash of the Titans. These 2 teams are top 3 in the SEC right now, and it's going to be clash of the Titans. Like I said, I'm very excited for this game to watch as a fan, and should be a good one, man. Tennessee, they're looking to prove that they're the number 1 best team in the nation right now. And they want to be on that level that Duke is right now, to ESPN likes and all that stuff. And Kentucky just came off a controversial loss to LSU, who's a pretty good team. And so they're going to look to defend their home court this time.
Yeah, I mean, that's something entirely that still hasn't happened. And the thing that you would know as well as anybody about protecting home court with your head coach, Self's lost he's been at Kansas, 15 years now, 14 years. And he's got, 10 losses at home. Well, Calipari's kind of the same way. Cal's in his 10th year. He's got 8 losses at home and 9 losses now. 9 losses at home. So losing at home is not something that our coaches tend to do. And especially Cal's never lost 2 in a row at home in his tenure at Kentucky. But that's going to be put to the test on Saturday. Tennessee is loaded, Tyler. They are loaded to bear.
Yeah, Tennessee, I mean, they got experience, they got size, they got strength. They got everything that you need to go on the road and win at a place like Kentucky. We speak on the experience, man. They got juniors and everybody out here that's really seen it. They've done it, and now it's clicking. It takes some time to develop some of these teams, and Tennessee has taken the time to let these guys develop. Grant Williams especially. Wow, monster. Admiral Schofield. If I ever have a son, his name's going to be Admiral. That is a gangster-ass name.
The only other Admiral I could ever think of is David Robinson, and he's a Hall of Famer. So.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with Mr. Robinson.
Tyler, let's just go ahead and run down Tennessee real quick. Not run down in a bad way, but let's run them down real quick. Tennessee, 19 wins in a row. I mean, you guys both know. To put a winning streak together of 3 or 4 is difficult as it is, especially when you're in conference play. but to string together 19 wins. Tyler, who was Tennessee's only blemish? They're 23-1 on the year, 11-0 in conference. Who's their only blemish?
November 11th was the date. Overtime victory for the Kansas Jayhawks. But with that being said, they have knocked off 19 wins in a row. That's impressive. I don't think anybody else in the country has that record right now. Hofstra, we're at 17 for Hofstra. Other than that, I don't see anybody else that's as high as these guys. I mean, they got the recipe for winning basketball.
Yeah, and they absolutely do, Peyton. Sorry, scratching my head. They absolutely do. Tennessee, I know you've got a couple looking on your notes over here, interesting team stats. Tennessee's second offensive efficiency, which means, again, offensive efficiency. How many times do you put the ball in the bucket per trip down the floor, per possession of the game? And Tennessee just got weapons. Like we talked about Duke and their offensive weapons. Tennessee's not as explosive as an offensive Duke, not as explosive as like a Gonzaga or a team like that. But Tennessee can put the ball in the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee has 5 guys that average in double figures for their team. Schofield's not even the leading scorer. I actually don't remember who it was, but I know he's
Grant Williams.
Yeah, it's Grant Williams. And Tennessee is also led. Tyler's mentioned Admiral Schofield. You both mentioned Grant Williams. Speaking of Grant Williams, I got something kind of fun here. Grant Williams currently is 6th in the Ken Pom Player of the Year race. Oh, I mean, Zion's leading, blowing everybody away, but Grant Williams is 6th. He's in there with the likes of Ethan Hatt. He's in there with the likes of Dedrick Lawson, R.J. Barrett. He's in good company. Grant Williams is a junior. If you haven't seen him, he's kind of a throwback player as far as stature, Tyler. He's a big, strong kid that's super athletic, will punish you on the glass, will punish you with his driving ability because he's so strong and bulky. He's an undersized 4. If he makes it to the NBA, he'll probably be a 3-man, improve his jump shot, which is getting better. And that's another thing. His jump shot's gotten a lot better from his freshman year. Can't leave him alone. He's a matchup nightmare. Like, how would you like a dude that's like 6'7", I think is what he is, 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", right around there. That's built like a brick shit house and charging at you to go finish a layup or finish a dunk, or it's him and Admiral Schofield are both like the same cut that way.
Oh, they're jacked.
Yeah. Oh God, they got muscles where we didn't even know muscles existed. Grant Williams, like I said,
talk about the throwback player real quick. The throwback style look. If you may remember, Juwan Blair from Pitt.
Oh yes,
that's another guy.
And that's another. He was kind of undersized too at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, for another guy that's for the younger cats that haven't went back that far. Draymond Green. Draymond Green wasn't this little skinny guy bringing the ball up the court. He was a chunker, undersized, but he got down there, got him some rebounds. So if you want a comparison as far as the style of play of Grant Williams, looking back, you can do now. A guy I cannot remember where he played college ball at, but reminds me the most of Grant Williams is Brandon Bass.
Oh, yes. Brandon Bass played at LSU, I do believe. I think he played at LSU. I'll have to double-check that. I think he played with Big Baby at LSU.
Just the size and the strength, that's the best comparison I can give anybody that's wanting to do a comparison with this guy.
Yeah, and he's just like a bowling ball. He's like a bowling ball coming at you in transition. I mean, he's not super quick, but he's sneaky athletic. Again, he's sixth in Ken Pom Player of the Year right now voting. He's tied for 4th on Ken Pom in MVPs of games. He's got 13. I mean, what that's saying is Ken Pom, stats-wise, contribution to the game, everything that goes involved being MVP of a basketball game, he's won that 13 times for the Volunteers on a 23-win team already. So it shows how important he is. And he's also, when it came out last week, he's in that final 20 of the Wooden Watch Award, which is like the National Player of the Year award.
Yeah.
Another thing, Tyler, I think you'll find this interesting. We've talked about Grant Williams. We've talked about Admiral Schofield. We've sort of mentioned on Tennessee's depth. Jordan Bone.
Yeah.
Jordan Bone is kind of the straw that stirs that drink to get them in their offense. Put good ball pressure on there. But here's a stat I found interesting. Jordan Bone on the season shooting 31.3% from 3, which is okay. Like, it's not good and it's not necessarily like terrible, but it's just kind of there, right?
It's okay.
But listen to this. Against tier A teams, meaning your Kansases of the world, meaning your Dukes. I know they haven't played Duke, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like on tier 1 teams, Jordan Bone is shooting 35%, basically 36%. He rounded up. Again, the 36 don't sound like a terrible, like it don't sound like a whole lot, but when you jump 5% shooting points, when you play a top tier team, what they call a tier A team on KenPom,
Yeah.
that's a pretty damn big jump.
Yeah. Also in the SEC, he is second in assist rate in the SEC.
Yeah.
So,
Tyler, what do you think about that for a kid that his shooting percentage and basically his overall play goes up when he plays the best teams that's on their schedule, like those tier A teams? I mean, that says a lot about the kid, right?
That shows that he is willing to step up in the big moments. You know, we got kids that they come out looking great at the beginning of the year when they're playing, you know, the lower level teams. But whenever it comes around, you kind of see, I mentioned it on the show, contenders and pretenders. And this is just to go for teams. This goes for players as well. And this cat right here, he is stepping up and showing that he can live up to the hype of this team. And as an individual, that he is able to do things on the basketball floor that he's supposed to be doing and surpassing his averages. So with that being said, man, this guy's been something to behold. And, you know, he's a catalyst for this team. Just like you mentioned, he stirs the pot, he gets these boys going. So that stat just attests to one of the many things he does well for this team.
Yeah, Jordan Bone, and like I just said it earlier, to Tennessee's depth is what to me separates them. They brought back 10 dudes from last year and added a couple of recruits. They brought back 10 guys. I'll say that again, 10 guys. They're led. You look at the starting lineup Tyler mentioned. They've got 4 juniors around 1 senior. Admiral Schofield's the only senior in that starting lineup. Their next 5 that comes off are all upperclassmen, with I think maybe like 1 freshman that really plays. But they essentially go 10, 11 deep, and they're all experienced guys. They're all talented. Tennessee, it's just waves that come at you, and guys who've been there before, who know how to play in this environment. These guys too, they won't fear Kentucky. This crop, they actually swept the regular season against the Cats last year. They beat them in Knoxville, beat them up pretty bad actually, and then came into Rupp and was able to take one. Cats got them back in the SEC tournament for the championship. But these guys know what it's like to play inside of a hostile environment in Rupp Arena, and it's not going to scare them. It's not going to bother them.
no, they're going to be prepared for this game. It's Rupp Arena. It gets loud in there. I mean, you guys can talk about more than I could because I've never been in there, never seen Kentucky play. But from what I've seen on the TV, I can tell it gets loud in there.
Rupp's good for big game atmospheres. Tyler alluded to it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And on the podcast after his experience with the Kansas game, it's loud for big time games, and this will be a big one. So I imagine Rupp will be crazy. You know, middle games that Kentucky should win and win handily. It's kind of, unless something crazy happens, it's kind of, you know, it's iffy. But this will be one of those exceptions to the rule of Saturday. Oh, I thought Tyler was going to say something. That's why that was awkward.
Oh, sorry.
I thought he was going to say something. That's why there was awkward pause.
No, I was drinking from my non-sponsored Polar Pop. But, to attest to the sound, man, there's no audio pumped into this gym, man, and Rupp Arena gets loud. I know I joked about it not being loud as Allen Fieldhouse, but man, this place, Josh, you remember I texted you, I said, man, this place is blowing up. They do it well. They bring a lot of hype. This is the #1 team in the country coming in. This isn't like Alabama coming in, Alabama basketball, not football. Alabama or anybody like that. So it's a huge game. Now this will be able to prove how well Kentucky plays if they can get the victory. This will show how well that Kentucky bounces back from adversity after the loss. But also this will show how well Tennessee shows up in a hostile environment like at Rupp Arena. They've been put to test. Vanderbilt, they went overtime. So it's not like they haven't seen a hard-fought game, but they haven't played Kentucky yet. Kentucky's Yeah, they're a damn good team, and they're gonna. This is not gonna be your typical game. It's not gonna be that slugfest that I think it's gonna be a run and gun, high points, high intensity game.
See, I'm glad you mentioned that. That was actually going to be my next point. Is the one thing Tennessee, yes, they're on a 19-game win streak, but the one thing that you have to kind of wonder about the Volunteers is it's been at least a month since they played anybody with, some kind of high-ranking name value.
Yeah.
They haven't. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they haven't been battle tested in a while. I mean, they've had some close games, a couple close calls, but they haven't really played. They haven't played the top tier in the SEC yet. They haven't played Kentucky. They will Saturday. They haven't played LSU. LSU is still coming along. They, as far as I know, haven't played Auburn, or at least they've got another game with Auburn coming up. So they haven't played really the top tier of the SEC, and that's not knocking at Tennessee. I'm not knocking them. Tennessee is great. I've said it all year. Everybody who listens to the podcast or on the Facebook group knows I put Tennessee over more than I do anybody, essentially. But I'm just stating facts. Tennessee hasn't been tested in a little while. I think the one thing that Kentucky's got for them is over the last month, you look at them, played Mississippi State twice. They've played Auburn on the road. They've played LSU. They've played Kansas. They've played on the road at Florida. They've played, you name it. They've been UNC back in December, Louisville back in December. Yeah. They've played a pretty good schedule. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. And I don't think it's going to bother the game. You get up when it's Kentucky, Kansas, Duke. You get up from them teams. I'm just saying it could be interesting scheduling.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Tyler, what do you think about that?
It could go a couple ways. It could show that Tennessee's going to come in there well rested. That they haven't had to go into a dogfight since mid-December with Vanderbilt, if I'm recalling correctly. Or it could show that they're not used to that big punch, because Kentucky will punch you. I don't give a shit who they're playing. If Duke came back, it wouldn't be the same outcome as before. They will come. It's a different team. They will come and they will punch you. It's just a matter of how Tennessee absorbs it. And with their schedule prior, they really haven't had that big hit since Vanderbilt.
Fair points. Speaking on the Cats, we've talked about the Vols here. Kentucky's 20-4, 9-2 in conference. They fell. Their 10-game win streak was snapped on Tuesday. Controversial or not, I mean, if you haven't seen it, or heard about it, there's a tip in late that should have been on the floor called offensive goaltending. Ball still in cylinder. Wasn't. No big, it's done over. LSU's a good team. They deserve to win that game if you watch the second half. Cats slipped up a little bit. It is what it is, but they did fall 2 games behind in the conference to Tennessee. And it puts a little bit more stress on this game Saturday. Kentucky's 5th in the AP poll right now, 7th in KenPom, so doing well there. PJ Washington, let's go ahead and talk about some of the individual players here. Tyler, and I know both you and Peyton, as opposing fans, are big on PJ Washington, as are we. People like Kentucky, but PJ in the last 7 games, 6 of the last 7 has been the MVP on KenPom. You watch this guy. He's an instant bucket getter. You throw it down low. If Kentucky needs a bucket, you isolate PJ in the post, throw it down to him. He's got an unstoppable hook shot. It's not sky hook Kareem style. It's just a little turnaround jump hook. He squares the shoulders, hits it 90% of the time, 95% of the time. He attacks the glass offensively and defensively. He's a leader. He's become the Cats' vocal leader. Like PJ Washington is turning into not only an all SEC type player, I think he's turned it into one of the better players in the country as far as overall game. He shoots a 3-ball decent now. I know, like I said, I started off. I know both of you have told me individually you both like PJ's game. So Peyton, I'll let you start. Just talking on PJ real quick. What about it do you like about him? Like, what do you think he's brought this year as a sophomore that he didn't bring as a freshman?
Well, he's improved on both sides of the floor. I mean, he's a pretty good defender as it is, and he's hitting that 3 more. I'm glad you mentioned that because on KenPom, he's top 3 in 3-point percentage in SEC, shooting nearly over 40% from deep and that's pretty impressive for a big guy like him. Obviously, in the post, unstoppable hook shot. He's hard to guard. He's a tough player to guard. SEC, whatever it is, he's just tough. I like how hard he plays. On the glass, he's great. He's 4th in defensive rebounding in the SEC and 10th in offensive rebounding in the SEC, percentage-wise for both of them. He's just a machine, and it's hard to contain him.
Yeah. Tyler, what's your thoughts on PJ? I know, again, you've got to see him firsthand.
Yep. I'm a stat guy, but I'm going to throw stats out the window here. If I was to pick up on a basketball game and PJ was standing there available, I would take him, bar none, just because I like his style. I like his swag, as the kids say now. I can say kids because I'm older than all y'all. But he just plays so well, and it's the style that I like to see. He's fundamental. He can step out. He can go down low. He's got the combination to play at this level and the next level. You know, as he's got the down low moves, and now he's stepping out. You know, knocking down the three. For Kentucky as a sophomore, that's a senior at Kentucky. Yeah. You know, this has been there, done that type of guy. Most of these guys aren't like that. I mean, with the exception of Reed Travis, but he's a transfer. He hasn't wore the Big Blue yet. It's his first go around, so this is new. It's a new waters for him as well. But PJ, man, just the way he maneuvers around the hoop, the way he positions himself on the block to receive the basketball is something that if you're a young guy and you're a big young guy, you need to watch this guy's positioning. You need to watch his footwork. It's fundamentals will take you so far, and it's with anything, whatever sport you're in. If you work on the fundamentals and you work hard at it, you will go somewhere. And this guy, along with his athleticism, is showing why he's such a good player now.
Yeah, and I think another thing too is you see the maturity. Obviously, a kid as a freshman is different than a kid as a sophomore, and a kid as a sophomore is different as a kid that would be a senior.
Yeah.
But the thing with PJ, more to me than just his skill set, more than stepping out and being more efficient from beyond the arc, taking better shots, becoming just an automatic bucket scorer down low, all that stuff. PJ's become the undeniable leader and heart and soul of this basketball team. Everybody thought it'd be Reed Travis. At the beginning of the year, it was Reed, just because he's a fifth-year dude.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. They'll all tell you, PJ Washington. When things are getting rough, you see PJ grab people, pull them in. He's not afraid to get on you. I watched him the other night. I've watched him all year practically, but especially the other night, even in a loss. Tyler Hero takes a bad shot. Coach Cal's not the first one to get on Hero. As soon as his dead ball, PJ is just like getting him like, what are you doing? Just get the offense. You'll get the shot back. Sign of a leader. That's you. Every team needs at least one vocal leader or a leader by example or both to make it to the promised land. And PJ's undeniably became that. The guys you watch him in the huddle, they look up to him. And Coach Cal, it takes a load off him because now he doesn't have to manage everything. He's got guys on the team that take care of it in-house. And Tyler, I know you love that. I know me and you cut from the same cloth that if you can handle it in-house and have a guy that takes over, that it's much better to self-police and have, like a coach or somebody else police you.
Yep. And then we've also seen it firsthand that some people don't like that. Some people will crumble under that. And you need that constructive criticism to grow as a person, to grow as a player, as an individual, whatever way you want to slice it. You need to be able to take the criticism from a teammate, especially a teammate, because that's your brother out there. Calipari can only do so much. He's not out there diving after loose balls with you. He's just doing the X and O's. You got to have that camaraderie with each other to be able to accept when someone comes down on you to take it and turn it into positive energy.
That's very well said. We just mentioned the Calipari and stuff. The clash between these two coaches too. You've got two outstanding basketball coaches. You got Rick Barnes, who's took Tennessee, and Tennessee had some success. Let's not downplay it that like Tennessee was just on the verge of collapse. Prior to them, just before he got there, Conzo Martin took them to a Sweet 16. They had some good success under Bruce Pearl. but now they're starting to reach heights of which they haven't reached in at least over 10 years. I mean, Bruce Pearl got them to number 1, but they stayed there for a week. Tennessee's been number 1 for almost half the year now, it seems like. And Rick Barnes has built a foundation, and he's doing it with upperclassmen. He's starting to bring in some good recruits, and like the cycle continues. And this is a guy who we've talked about, who his time had kind of ran up at Texas. You know, he had great recruits. He had TJ Ford. They made the Final Four that one year. He's had Kevin Durant under his watch.
PJ Tucker.
Yeah, PJ Tucker, LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, you've had some really talented teams that just kind of faltered. And he's been able to take his home like alma mater in Tennessee, and he's built them up to Tennessee now. There's no signs of stopping. I mean, for as long as he's there, Tennessee is going to be a top 15, top 20 program. And then you all know what Cal's able to get that one title. Maybe could have had more. Maybe should have. Maybe could have, would have. He's had the best team at least 3 years. I know, won a title once, lost it twice. And but it goes to show how hard it is to win that damn tournament. And bad shooting night, bad coaching night, because he's guilty of that. And then 2010, they've had bad shoot. So it shows how hard it is to win that damn tournament. But, you know, you've got Rick Barnes versus Coach Cal, and that's a mega clash right there.
Yep, I called, if you remember, I called Mr. Rick Barnes, Mr. Rogers of the NCAA, because just the way he presents himself, he's such a nice guy. And I can see why he's able to bring kids in with that personality. He's not the type of guy that's going to go in there and rip your head off. He's the one that's going to sit you down one-on-one and tell you, say, hey, man, you're messing up. What can we do to fix it? He's not that in-your-face type, I'm gonna rip your ass and see what happens. He's on the other end of the spectrum, which he can go that route, but the way he rolls is, you know, the nice, smooth guy. I need to talk to you on the side. Let's work this out. Now, Coach Cal, on the other hand, I've seen him getting kids' ass. You know, it's just a matter of what style you want to do and how the kids react to it. And both of them obviously are doing a damn good job at whatever they're doing.
Dude, you mentioned Coach Cal. You can see the Italian in him because he screams and hollers and like, oh, what are you doing? There's so many funny GIFs out there, GIFs, however you pronounce it, of him doing like, what? Like acting too cool. Like, but that's the crazy thing, because you got a guy that brings in these high-profile kids that's going to make millions just the following year once they leave Kentucky, and he don't care. Like, you'd have some of these coaches, like if it'd be me and I just could get a 5-star kid every once in a while, I don't know, I probably would be like, all right, man, I'm not going to baby you, but I'm going to probably be like, do what I can to make sure you have a good time, you know, don't fall on me. Cal's like, you're here, you're not guaranteed anything to play, and if you screw up, I'm going to let you know about it. And I'm like, dude, you have balls. You get more balls, but he don't care. That's Italian in him.
With that, though, he has that luxury, because his 6th and 7th and 8th guys, most of the time are top 100 players, McDonald's All-Americans. So he has the luxury to be able to do stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason why he does it, but he has the opportunity to set a guy down for 3 or 4 minutes and not lose, 15 points of production. Oh,
no, you're absolutely right. I was just saying, too, like on the flip side, I guess more so what I was saying is like if you're a senior in high school or a junior, you're considering Kentucky, and you sit there and watch one of these games where he don't care. He's just in the guy's faces, yelling, hollering, what are you doing? Like, it's a testament that some of these guys aren't like, oh, I don't need that. Because like you mentioned, some guys aren't built for the whole constructive criticism, yelling, screaming, especially in today's climate.
LeGerald Vick, you little mother. Sorry.
Especially in today's climate with everybody so cotton soft.
Oh, it's Charmin out there.
Oh, it is. We have a question here. Shout out Conrad. Conrad's in here giving us a watch. You guys, Everything Pro Wrestling. You guys go ahead and make sure you give him a follow. He just had a great podcast with I can't think of the dude's name, but he's from Forbes. They were covering
Triple H.
they were covering previewing the Elimination Chamber this Sunday. Go check that out anywhere you find our podcast, Everything Pro Wrestling. Go find him on Facebook. They're our sister site. Conrad does a wonderful job. He's a great supporter of ours, as we are his. But anyways, He says, what type of coach do you think is better, nice coach or tough coach for each of you? I'll go ahead and start that. For me, I'm always used to a tough coach. I was so used to. I'm used to a tough coach or somebody thought he was a coach growing up too. I think everybody had a parent like that, or thought so, or an uncle or something. But me, a tough coach. I need somebody who's going to guide me, and then I know has my back, but it's hard on me and pushes me to be my best. But it also needs to be a kind of fine balance too. Somebody who's hard on me, but as soon as practice is over with or a game's over with, then we can talk and they'll build me up and all that. I prefer a tough coach.
No, I prefer a tough coach as well. I mean, if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know. Get on my ass. If I'm not listening or nothing like that, please yell at me. Do whatever you got to do because I want to be the best. I want to be able to perform for my team and my coach the best of my abilities. So get under me if you have to. I don't care. I've always enjoyed tough coaches. My brother, he used to coach me a little bit. He was a tough coach on me, and I was fine with it because I knew he wanted me to be better, and I wanted to be better, and that's the only way you're going to get it done. So a tough coach for me.
Across the board, I like that. I like that drive. I like that passion because it shows that they are invested in you. I had a coach tell me, if I'm not on you, I don't care no more.
Yeah.
And that was huge for me. I had a coach tell me after my junior year, you suck at shooting the three. So what did we do? For the beginning of the year, for 3 months, I was in the gym every day, 5 in the morning. He unlocked it. I shot threes. I logged it. He just stood there. Hell, half the time he just went up in his office. But he was up there, and he was keeping an eye, and he let me know, hey, you need to keep improving. You need to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. So with that, I improved. I went from being someone you lay off of because I would get to the hole so easy. You had to get up in me because I was surprising him with my three-point shot because of the way he pushed me and being hard on me and letting me know basically you can't shoot right now. You need to fix it. So I like that tough, driven, motivational type of coach.
Yeah, and we both have the same guy. Shout out Steve Todd, Coach Todd. I think that's who
Yes,
we're
sir.
talking about.
Yes, sir.
But moving on, that was a good question.
Yeah.
Kind of tied in with the whole Rick Barnes, John Calipari thing.
Yeah.
So good question. Again, check out Everything Pro Wrestling. Conrad does a wonderful job. Let's go ahead and start now. Let's go ahead and, what do you guys think? It's a big mega clash on Saturday. As we broke down some individual players. Let's go ahead and get into some keys and just kind of some stuff like that. Tyler, for you, keys for victory for Tennessee and Kentucky on Saturday night.
I got one stat we forgot to mention, or I forgot to mention. I don't know if you guys noticed or knew this or not. I'm sure you did. In conference play, Tennessee is averaging the highest points per game as a team in the SEC. Flip side, Kentucky is allowing the least amount of points in conference play. So this is going to determine a lot of things personally for me as far as how well Kentucky defends the ball and how well Tennessee can really put the ball in the hole.
It's that old immovable object versus irresistible force.
Yep. So I'll start off with Kentucky to get the keys here. It all starts with PJ. It all ends with PJ. And everything in between is going to be with PJ. Personally, the dude's got to have 20 and 12. He's got to. He's got to be consistent. He can't score 10 points and then fade for 8 to 12 minutes like he did it with LSU. He was scoring big at the beginning, then he faded, and then they came back to him at the end of the game, and that's how they got close. So it's PJ. Second, Williams and Schofield are going to do their thing. My X factor for this game and who Kentucky has to slow down is Jordan Bone. He is the engine. He's the oil that makes this smooth. He needs to be stopped. You need to put the brakes on this guy. He's averaging almost seven assists along with almost 14 points a game, and he's the third leading scorer. So you can beat Tennessee with letting 2 get off. You cannot let 3 or 4 guys get off, and it has to start with stopping Jordan Bone. My last one here, Higgins has to be more aggressive on the offensive end. He has a tough task going forward. You know, he's got to be the guy that stops Jordan Bone. And then on the other side, he has to put the ball in the hole. He scored 4 points against LSU. 4 fucking points. You got to do something better than that performance-wise to win the ball game for your Wildcats.
I couldn't have said it better about Higgins. I'll get into that here in a minute. Save your prediction, by the way. Save your prediction to the very end.
I'm waiting.
Peyton, go ahead. Your keys for the Volunteers and for the Wildcats on Saturday.
I missed the Volunteers. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You're good. Go.
Sorry. I need a polar pop break. For Tennessee to win this, they got to play that bully ball. They got to get them big bodies down there and punish PJ and Reed. I know Reed's a monster, but we have seen Schofield. We have seen Grant Williams. They can physically battle with this guy, and I think possibly bust him up a little bit, not like in a bad way, but make him work, make his body wear down. You need Grant Williams to do that, and Schofield. You need consistent ball pressure. So, like I said, with Higgins needing to do stuff on the ball, I need Jordan Bone to do that as well. You need to stop the easy entry pass from Higgins to PJ or Higgins to Reed. You have to be able to make hard passing lanes to stop it from getting down low where PJ will score. You have to slow that down. And the last thing, I mentioned this type of thing for Louisville whenever they were hot. You just got to keep doing what you're doing. You don't win 19 games in a row by conforming to the other team's style. You have to stay playing Rick Barnes, Tennessee Vols style of basketball, and you cannot fold and play the way Kentucky plays. So that's the keys for Tennessee.
Good stuff. Peyton, go ahead. I know you got it. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say something. But, yeah, Tennessee's second in offensive efficiency, and Kentucky on the defensive side are ninth in defensive efficiency. I forgot to say that earlier. Now, getting to the keys for Kentucky. I agree with 100% with Cook. You need a big game from P.J. Washington. He's Kentucky's star player. You need a good game from your star player in this one because it's going to be a mega clash. So he needs to have a big game. My second key is control the offensive glass and defensive. If you control the glass, keep Tennessee off the boards, then I think you'll be fine. And my last key for Kentucky is hit some key shots when you need to. If you're open, whoever it is, whether it's 3-point, mid-range, hit some shots, prove you can hit that consistently, and make life easier for P.J. Washington if he's in the post or whatever it is. That's my keys for Kentucky. Now my keys for Tennessee are, 1, take care of the ball. When you have a brother on the other side of the floor in Kentucky called Ashton Higgins, who's second in steal percentage in the SEC, you need to take care of the ball. You need to be able to handle it well and not give him turnovers or anything like that. Take care of the ball. Second, get Admiral Schofield going early. We can have about 10 points at the TV timeout, something like that, something crazy like that, and he's hitting shots early. Could be dangerous.
Which TV timeout? Come on, break it down here. Which TV timeout? 4 minutes? Come on.
Any TV timeout.
8 minutes? I'll give you 8 minutes. How about that? I'll help you out here.
Okay, that scared the hell out of me. That scared the hell out of me. And my final key for Tennessee is get P.J. Washington in foul trouble. If you can attack him as much as possible, get him in foul trouble like LSU did. He had 4 fouls in that game. And I don't think he fouled out, but I know he had 4 fouls.
Yeah, PJ did foul. No, he didn't.
Nope, he stayed with 4.
He stayed with 4, yeah, he stayed.
Anyways, 4. That's still dangerous.
He fouled out the Mississippi State game last Saturday.
That's still dangerous territory for Kentucky's star player. You can get him in foul trouble, eliminate him from the game. I think Tennessee can win this. So those are my keys for both teams.
I think that's good for both of you. I'm kind of hit on some of the stuff myself. You guys both mentioned both your points for Kentucky was P.J. Washington. PJ you're correct. PJ needs a big game again. We've mentioned these last 6 of the last 7 games he's been MVP on Ken Palm. PJ needs a big game because him and Reed both are going to have to battle and bang this physical. It might look like a football game out here with how many big wide bodies and how physical both teams are. But Keys for Tennessee. Number one, use depth to wear down the Cats. We've talked about it. Tennessee goes 10, 11 deep if they want to. Tennessee's brought back a lot of experience. Kentucky will go 8, 9, but it's easy to get them in foul trouble and wear them down because you guys like Baker don't play as much. He's playing a little bit more, but he's not playing much. Nick Richards is on and off, so you take those two away, you really only have 6, 7 dudes that play. Tennessee, attack Kentucky, use your depth to wear them down. That includes pressing. You press from time to time, use your defense to wear them down. It don't always have to be offense. So use your depth to your advantage. Number 2, stay aggressive on the backboard. If there's one thing Kentucky is really good at, is controlling the backboard. They win the majority of their games and rebounding margin, especially in the offensive glass. Tennessee, we've mentioned how big they are, how strong they are. Their guards rebound pretty well. You must keep the Cats off the backboard. And number 3, you said play through or get Admiral Schofield going early. I do think that because Admiral's a handful. His jump shot's pretty deadly from 3 right now.
Yes.
I think you play through your All-American candidate, Grant Williams. I did say play through Grant Williams and Schofield on my notes, but I think more so Grant Williams. You go through your All-American candidate. It'd be the same way you guys talked about PJ. You got to go through Grant Williams because you're probably going to have PJ on him. Go at him with foul trouble, step out and pick and pops, hit 3, attack the rim off dribble drives, all of that. And then a subcategory, little note off that, Tennessee as a whole needs to attack one-on-one driving lanes. Kentucky got, when they were on their win streak, 10 games, and when they were playing good, won 11 of 12 or whatever, Kentucky's defense shored up so much, and they were locking teams down. But the last 2 games, they did win against Mississippi State, but it kind of came back to bite them, and it did come back to bite them against LSU. You can break the Cats down right now again on one-on-one driving lanes. For whatever reason, they're either closing out too hard, taking gambles, not moving their feet, especially Tyler Hero. The other night against LSU, they attacked him, and he couldn't keep anybody in front of him. LSU was getting to the rim. Ashton Higgins, a great defender. The last game and a half, he's not really playing that well. So if you're Tennessee, attack one-on-one driving situations. Isolate an area, go one-on-one if you have it, because you're probably going to get to the rim. If this version of the last 2 games of Kentucky shows up, if it's a Kentucky on the wins, all that, then it'll be a lot harder. We're just hedging our bets of this version. For the Cats, look to run in the open floor. You do not want to play against Tennessee's defense. You're so much better in transition. You've proven it during this win streak. Run in the open floor. Get easy layups, dunks, lobs at the rim, transition 3s for a guy like Hero or Kelvin Johnson. Run, run, run. Run, baby, run. Number 2, dominate the backboard. What are you really good at? Offensive rebounding. Send all your guys, if you have to the glass, because even Ashton Higgins rebounds pretty well. Send your guys, attack the backboard. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Number 3, for Kentucky, stay disciplined on defense in your rotations. I mentioned about the one-on-one driving lines. Kentucky has to get back to where they were, just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, where they were locking teams down and force them into bad shots late in the shot clock or even shot clock violations. Get back to your defensive identity. Lock down the Volunteers on the perimeter more specifically. Stay in front, move your feet, contest shots, and that'll allow you to long rebounds, get out transition, point number 1. 4th and final point for the Cats, I think you need to hit 5 threes at least to open up Tennessee, to spread them out, open them up. And I think you need to shoot 25 free throws or more and at least hit 70% of them. You've got to be able, along with going to 3 or hitting 3s and opening Tennessee up, you need to get to the line. That means attacking the rim. That means putting Tennessee in positions of value, and that you've got to shoot, I think, at least 25 or more, probably more 30, 35 if you can get that many, and hit 70% or better. To me, the other night against LSU, even all things considered, you missed 7 free throws. This is a team that's been shooting right around 70% from free throws anyways, so they had an off night, but it did come back to bite them. You left 7 points on the line. You add 7 points, Cats win by 5.
6, 5, yeah.
Yeah. So hit free throws. Get to the line and hit them. Convert. Get back to your roots. With all that said, Ken Palm has this predicted a 74-72 Wildcats victory. I'm going to go last. Peyton, final score on Saturday night.
Oh, man, this is tough. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Ah, I got the Volunteers coming out with W, 85-83.
It's fair. MVP.
Animal Schofield.
Tyler.
ESPN has this that gives the edge 59 to 41 percentage in favor of the Wildcats. I'm a competitive guy. I know who I'm going to pick. I know who you're going to pick, Josh. We're tied for game of the week. So, Peyton, you suck. You need to step your game up here. But, with that being said, I believe if this will cooperate with me, too much experience, too much size, and they're just playing too damn well to go against Tennessee right now. I don't see a scenario where Kentucky can come out very how am I supposed to say this? Kentucky's a really, really good team, a very well coached team right now, but Tennessee is that half step ahead. So I got Tennessee 80-70. It's not going to be a 10-point game all game. It's probably going to be because fouls are playing catch up at the end. Tennessee wins 80-70.
It's fair. It's very fair. It really is. It's one of those games you hate to be like on the fence where, well, I can see it go either way. I can see it. But you really can. It just depends. I think what's actually going to help the Cats, as weird as it sounds, I think losing Tuesday is refocus them. I think, especially on that controversial call, but I'm sure they've looked at tape and realized, man, if we'd had somebody boxing out, we'd have missed it. And PJ Washington came out and said, actually, after the game when he was talking about it, he said, we're definitely pissed off, ready for Saturday. So I think with all it said, it's a game day game again, the electricity, everything boiled up into one. I just don't see Cal losing 2 in a row at home. I think Tennessee is a fantastic team. Tennessee is a tremendous team. But with everything said, I think the Cats find a way. I think it's actually going to be – I think it's going to be one of those that's going to be a defensive slugfest. I don't think shots are going to be hit until late in the game. I think it's just going to be these two teams are going to grind and just beat each other down. There's going to be fouls and there'll be stoppages and might even be a tech or two. And it's going to be because it's a rivalry game. These two compete. I just think it's going to be such a grind in the mud. And Kentucky's played well. That's kind of where they've won a lot of ball games. They've won games playing in the mud. I think – and if the one thing too, I think Hero, he's not played well. He didn't play well against LSU at all. Hero plays well. We mentioned on the podcast, Hero plays so well against teams that don't, quote unquote, like Kentucky. Yeah. He played well against North Carolina, Louisville. He's played well on the road against Mississippi State. And you name it. Florida, he played well. This guy's a killer when the lights are brighter. I think Hero comes back with a monster game. I think PJ plays well. I think it's going to be an unsung hero. The Cats are going to win. I think it's going to be a guy like EJ Montgomery. EJ Montgomery is going to have something like 19 points, 11 rebounds, and like 2 or 3 blocks. He's going to be a guy that's versatile. It's going to be a guy like that comes out of virtually nowhere to help the Cats win. Cats win 78-73. I think it's a defensive grind. I really do. I really just see it being physical. It's going to be like I said, a football game. I think it's going to be that type of game. It's just going to be, guys might foul out. I just don't see maybe it's the fan in me, probably is. But just taking that off and putting like the analyst hat on, I just really do feel like that LSU game has reset their focus and Kentucky holds home court. I think the Vols get the first SEC loss. I think everything goes into – it's going to be kind of like that Kansas game. It was kind of like the perfect storm. Game day game. Guys were hyped, playing well, defensive struggle. Cats find a way at the end. I think it's going to be similar to that. So I got Kentucky 78, Tennessee 73. Really good game. Both teams are really good, no matter the win-loss after this. But I just feel like the Cats find a way on Saturday.
I don't think it's fandom going on. I really believe that Kentucky could win this game. That's why I said this is a tough game for me to choose. The reason I'm picking the Volunteers to win this one and why they have the edge, because, like Cook said, experience and depth. That's the only reason I'm picking Tennessee to beat Kentucky at Rupp Arena. But there's definitely a possibility that Kentucky can come out with a W here. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think either way, like we mentioned last week during the Duke-Virginia game on here, these two teams are two teams that you could easily see playing in Minnesota in April for a Final Four.
At least meeting 3 times. They are meeting twice this season. The regular season, I say like meeting in the conference championship.
Yeah, I think, Tyler, I would think that you would probably – I know you're high on Tennessee, but I think Kentucky, even in a loss, whatever, I still think the Cats have got all the pieces and playing well enough that both these teams could make it to the Final Four.
Oh, yeah. With you said something about the LSU loss. If anything is going to propel them over Tennessee is the fire under their ass from getting beat in the fashion that they did. You don't like getting beat, but especially on something that you cannot change, that's a call that you can't change. Real quick on that, this is the one and only thing that anybody needs to know about that play. Rules are rules, and they're set in place for a reason, but there are circumstances like this that shows the rules needs to be looked at. Plain and simple, this was the exact point that they need to show as to why they need to be able to overturn goaltending situations because it determined the outcome of a game.
Well, it's so crazy, too, is that the referees are allowed to go 50 times in the course of a basketball game and slow the game up for minutes at a time to see a dead ball if a guy's foot was on the line when you clearly on the first replay see it. But they'll sit there and watch them on. But in a situation like this, you can't go look. But yeah, at the end of the Louisville Duke game, you can go back and reverse a charge block call. I mean, the rules need change. All of that said, like I said, Kentucky missed 7 free throws. They hit them, they win the game. They also they gave up the driving line there. Kelton just played to the side, guided him to the rim to get a shot up, didn't even try to cut him off, make him turn. You do that, game's in overtime. You also, shot goes up, you had PJ and EJ went for the block. Ashton Hagans watches the dude tip it in right in front of him, doesn't try to put a body on him. Nobody else comes down. It's all that little stuff that you do that, and the game, it never gets that point where it matters. But with that being said, by rule, the officials missed the call on the floor. I mean, and you're right. They should be able in a situation to go back and look. And for those who were confused about it, it's not the tip in itself was good. Ball, off the rim, good. That's not the issue. The issue was the ball was still in the cylinder, above the cylinder, and basically he just jumped up and threw it down. You can't do that. It's offensive goaltending.
There is an imaginary cylinder around the hoop that goes all the way up. If that ball is touching that perimeter anywhere around that line, it's a goaltend. That's the way it is. That's the way it always should be, and I think that's the way it should stay. I know the European leagues, they let them get up there and just knock the hell out of it whenever they want. That's stupid. You need to have something in place because these guys are too athletic to allow them to do things like that because we just seen it. We literally just seen it Tuesday. You need to be able to let the ball run its course. And with that being said, the rule was called right. The ball was put in the hole before the clock went off. But this is something that needs to be able to be looked at because, like we mentioned before, you can go back. I've seen shots, a 3 get hit 6 minutes into the game, and at halftime they take a point off because they went back and reviewed it and said it was a 2. Yeah. So there's all kinds of scenarios where things could be changed. If you can go back that far and take a point off the board, you need to be able to do it in live time right then and there.
I absolutely agree. But with that being said, it's got 2 guys for the Volunteers, 1 for the Cats. Either way, it's going to be another dandy game. We'll cover it in full on Sunday's podcast. Again, you guys are awesome. We're breaking our own records left and right. We'll get into that on Sunday. You guys are awesome. We may have a special guest again. I think Wayne's wanting to hop back on with us. So we might have a 4th man. 4. So with that being said, this is everything college basketball in the Zone Press, previewing #1 Tennessee at #5 Kentucky at Rupp Arena on Saturday night, the game day game. For that, Josh Burton.
Tyler Cook, Tennessee. That's all I got to say.
We out. See ya.